The Delhi Capitals have been something of the underachievers when it comes to the Indian Premier League. Yes, they made it to the final in 2020 but were comprehensively beaten and haven't really come close to tasting a similar level of success, if you can call it that, since. But the good thing going into the IPL 2023 mini auction for them is that they don't look like a side that needs a complete overhaul, and that has been evident from the fact that really they released very few players going into this year's auction. But perhaps more importantly, they have a lot of money still to spare, so they can potentially go for one or two big buys if they so manage to get a good bargain here or there. So when it comes to Delhi Capitals, as I said, they do sport a very settled look, but they do have a few spots here or there to fill, because if you look at the release players, there's 5 release players here. Remember, Shardul Thakur was traded to Kolkata Knight Riders, then Tim Seifert, Ashwin Hebar, KS Bharat and Mandeep Singh were the players they released. But that's actually a very small number of players if you're looking at it just from a figures perspective. If you look at the number of retained players there on screen, you'll see that there's a lot of players that they've kept on. So who exactly is it do I think that they could target when it comes to the auction this year around? Well, for one, Cameron Green is a bit of a no-brainer. I think a lot of franchises will be going for him. But why I've picked Delhi as his number one destination or choice is because Ricky Ponting, who's their head coach, has publicly come out and said that they will be doing everything to try and get Cameron Green in the IPL auction, which means that, of course, you could very well see the young Australian all-rounder go for some very big money, and hopefully, if you're a Delhi fan, you hope that they get him in there and manage to actually bring a lot of balance and explosiveness to their middle order batting and, of course, the bowling. He gives you 4 handy overs. Ben Stokes is another option who they can consider if they're looking for an all-rounder, and of course Stokes would come with the added advantage of bringing some match-winning pedigree, a lot of experience, could be a good person for skipper Rishabh Pant to lean on for advice. And if they are unable to get Cameron Green, Stokes would come in slightly cheaper than Green, because again, as I said, because they've come out publicly and said that Green is one of those players who they're going to look to get, you would see maybe a lot more franchises bid for him just to get his price high. Stokes, on the other hand, yes, there will be teams that go for him, but I don't expect him to fetch as much as someone like Green, so would be a decent buy on a slightly or a relative budget, because again, Stokes won't be that cheap, but probably not as much as Green. Lachlan Tucker was one player I picked as an out there option, because again, you know, he's a bit of a left of field option, but he could be someone who could plug a gap for Delhi in their squad and maybe come in and impress a little bit if he so gets the chance, although it does seem a bit unlikely, but still. Ashwin Hebar was one I picked, who, by the way, Delhi Capitals have already released, but they could very well go in there, get him back at a slightly cheaper rate and still ensure that their squad is complete. Remember, they only have 5 slots available, which means they have 20 players on their roster. So if they feel they want to plug a hole, someone like Hebar, who they've released, they could very well easily get back on base price, but they have money to spare. I would recommend they go for Shivam Mavi. Again, remember, Mavi is someone who, along with Kamlesh Nagarkoti, who's currently a Delhi Capitals player, had done very well for India in the Under-19 World Cup of 2017-18, around that year, because you remember they did very, very well in New Zealand. India had lifted the cup that time around, so there is a sense that these two can work well as a pairing. But Mavi is going to be someone who will be in big demand. He's priced at 40 lakhs, but I'm expecting a lot of teams to actually go big for him. So if Delhi can get him, it will be a plus. It will add a lot more depth to their bowling, because again, remember, when they traded Shardul Thakur, they got Aman Khan in return. I do not expect Aman Khan to be a starter for this Delhi Capitals side. At most, he'll be a squad player. So in that sense, they saved a lot of money, because that's why they have a nice purse of nearly 20 crores. But they will have to get in someone who's an experienced player, and Shivam Mavi, to be fair, is UP space spearhead, good batsman lower down the order, can field well, can bowl anywhere you ask him, so wouldn't be the worst option in the world for them. But because they have so much money, let's just take a quick look at where else it is that they can spend that money, because again, if you look at the kind of players who are available for 2 crores, there's a lot of players there who they might want to target beyond the obvious ones. Again, James Neesham comes to mind. He's someone who has played for the Delhi Capitals in the past. You could target one of the Overton brothers, or Jason Holder is another one who, if no one is interested, would be a steal at this price. And don't forget, even beyond that too, because Delhi have the money. The 1.5 crore bracket, again, there's someone like Harry Brook they could potentially target. Brook is someone who's really taken the world of international cricket by storm, and also has a very, very good record in domestic franchise league cricket as well. He impressed in the 100. He's done well in the Big Bash League. He's also was part of the Lahore Qalandars in the Pakistan Super League, where of course that team had won the title the last time around when it was held. So Brook is someone who would impress. Someone like a Malan if they want middle order stability. But even beyond that, in the 1 crore bracket, there's a lot of players they could potentially target if they so chose to. Whether or not they want to is a different matter. But again, someone like Shea Hope is someone who's always been a good player in T20 cricket. Someone like Daryl Mitchell would add a lot to their lower middle order if they so choose to play him. And they can, of course, they have money to spare. Not one of the worst options to buy. Remember, Matt Mitchell didn't play much for Rajasthan Royals last year either, but there are players they can target. Even beyond that, if you look at the 50 lakh bracket, someone like Rahane has played for them in the past. Whether they'd go for him, different matter now altogether. Ishant Sharma, of course, local Delhi lad, but again, someone who hasn't played a lot of Delhi, a lot of domestic cricket in recent times. Beyond that, of course, there's not too many players who they might want to target from here. And for that matter, even in the 50 lakh, unless they just feel the need to plug a hole in their squad, because again, there's not too many players here who would fill that much of a would only be needed only if they need to fill a gap in their squad. Beyond that, again, as I said, Shivam Mavi was one player they should look to target, but other than that, there's not too many players who they need from here. Delhi have, of course, the advantage of having a bigger purse, so they could potentially be one of those teams who makes a big bid. And again, I expect it to be for someone like Green or Stokes, because they could really use a good all-rounder. Beyond that, their team seems settled according to me, but that's just how I feel. What do you guys think? Well, you can let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and tap that bell icon for sure. Then you can also go ahead and follow us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook, and don't forget to download the SportsTak app for all of the updates from the IPL auction and beyond. Thank you all once again for joining us. I hope to see you with us as we cover the IPL auction, but for now, goodbye.